So today we're going to talk about exit interviews. Yes, exit interviews, those very awkward postseason sit downs where players, coaches, and GMs reflect. Sometimes they slightly vent and get their way through the interviews as they disappear off into either vacation or overseas play. Not every team does them. Not every player participates. And right now, the big headline is that the Chicago Sky announced that Angel Reese, Courtney Vandersloot, and Ariel Atkins will not be doing exit interviews. Even though, 2 weeks ago, they said that those interviews would be scheduled at a later date. Didn't really believe them then. Turns out I was right not to believe them, as they have now canceled them. So let's break it down, talking about exit interviews. So first, you all are probably wondering, are exit interviews mandatory or are they optional? Well, exit interviews are optional. The league does not mandate them. Specific teams do exit interviews every year, but every WNBA team does not have to do an exit interview, right? Teams are not required to hold them, and I think it depends on the actual team rules on whether or not players are required to participate, but I don't think they totally are. Exit interviews are meant to be a chance of reflection for individual players and coaches and GMs. It is an opportunity for teams to get questions from the media. And exit interviews are a way for fans to get closure on a season and possibly have that be the last thing you see of a player. But let's be real, guys. A lot of players and teams, they don't see the point of exit interviews. Think about it this way. If you're frustrated with how the season went, you're unhappy not just with your team performance, but maybe you're unhappy with the front office or your coaching staff, or you're upset about something. Or as a front office, you know that your players are upset about something and you don't want certain stuff to be said, well, skipping an exit interview makes a lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. Now, even if things are going well and you just don't want players to put their foot in their mouth, or you don't want the media to have an opportunity to take players out of context, you might just say, hey, as a whole team, we're skipping out on the exit interviews. We don't think they're necessary. We're not doing them. That's not a thing that we are doing. And that's a route that some teams have taken, even amid success. And that's how it is. This season, we've seen a mixed bag of teams participating in exit interviews. So kind of the quick TLDR kind of, it's nothing to read, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, real quick, let's just go over some of the teams that have participated in the exit interviews and teams that have not. So the teams that have skipped completely are the New York Liberty. No exit interviews for them. The Atlanta Dream, for the second year in a row, they are not doing exit interviews. Instead, according to a Twitter post by Megan Hall. Shout out to Megan Hall, fantastic reporter. She did report that on Wednesday, GM Dan Padover and head coach Carl Semesco will be having a availability with press on Wednesday. So no official exit interview, but they will be talking to the media, which is good. Dallas Wings, no exit interviews for them. On the flip side, we've seen a few that have actually done a full exit interview, like the Golden State Valkyries, the Seattle Storm. More about the Seattle Storm in just a bit. The Washington Mystics, the LA Sparks, the Connecticut Sun, and yes, the Chicago Sky. Well, at least most of the roster, because again, Angel Reese, Courtney Vandersloot, and Ariel Atkins are not doing them. The team has announced yesterday that those three players are not doing exit interviews, but everybody else had their exit interviews. And then let's continue on the Chicago Sky vein, and because I think here's where not doing an exit interview hurts. So the Sky did hold interviews for most of the team, but their three biggest, or not three, their three biggest, but definitely definitely the number one biggest player on the team, Angel Reese, is not doing them. And Ariel Atkins, who, had some comments in the paper, right? And Courtney Vandersloot, who's been injured, but has some thoughts about what was previously said. None of these three players are participating in exit interviews. And these are the three players that a lot of conversation and a lot of questions are being had on. You don't have to be a detective to wonder and speculate why in the world this is happening. And fans are upset. Yes, exit interviews are voluntary, but when your biggest stars, the people who have been at the top of the blogs, the top of people's minds when talking about what's happening with the Chicago Sky, it makes you wonder, and it makes you say, hey, why y'all dodging? Why are y'all dodging questions? What's going on here? Is Angel Reese actually in conversation with GM Jeff Pagliacca, like he kind of suggested that she was? Is that happening? Where does Angel Reese stand with this team? Where does she stand? Has she requested a trade from this team? Has she requested that certain changes be made for her to return back to this team? How about Courtney Vandersloot? What does she really think about what was previously said? Does she think that she will be the starting point guard for the Chicago Sky next year? Now, it's clear that Courtney Vandersloot will be returning because that's what Jeff basically said in his exit interview. And so finding out from Courtney, like, hey, well, what do you think? How long do you really think you have as a starting point guard in the WNBA? What does your rehab look like? Will you be back by the start of the season? Or are you encouraging Jeff and the rest of the front office to bring in another quality point guard who could be a starter, right? And then Ariel Atkins, the player that you traded fantastic draft assets for. Most notably, the number 3 draft pick in this year's draft, Sonia Citron. You traded that for Ariel Atkins, who didn't have that great of a season. It was okay, but not great. And Ariel Atkins is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Finding out from her, like, hey, what are your thoughts? Are you returning back to this team? Did you have a plan at the beginning of the season to return to this team? Did anything change with that plan as the season went on? Because the Sky gave up 4 years of Sonia Citron. And if Ariel Atkins does not return that 1-year loaner, I mean, even if she did return, I think that 1-year loaner was a bad deal, number one. And number two, even though it was a bad deal, you want to have some sort of return on it, right? But that's the question. Is Ariel Atkins even returning after we gave up so much to get her? Because she doesn't have to, right? And then figuring out from all three, what do they think about the front office? What do they think about the job that Jeff has done bringing players into Chicago to play? What does it take to get better players? Or do they think what they did this year was just fine enough? Is Ariel Atkins proud of her play? Is Courtney Vandersloot proud of her play before she got hurt? Does she anticipate being still the starter? Has Angel Reese learned more from the front office and GM after she made her comments to the Chicago Tribune? Has anything different changed? There's a lot of questions that I have, and I tell you, exit interviews could have been a great opportunity to get some of those questions answered. But I understand why the Sky are like, actually, no, we don't want this to be a free-for-all. We know some of the negative stuff that will come if we actually do these exit interviews, and so we're just not going to do them. So now we speculate. Which, is not good. I don't enjoy doing that, but at the same time, what else is there to do? What else is there to do, because what else do you have? They're not giving you anything. They're not giving you much of anything. And that, my friends, is very annoying, but I get why I get why they're doing it. I really do. I really, really do. So that's kind of where we stand right now. We're in this weird limbo space where, yeah, we just don't really know what's going on with the Chicago Sky. And that leaves me with sort of just recapping this whole thing. So why am I talking about this, and why should we care? Why in the world should we care about something that is optional? Well, we should care because exit interviews provide closure. And it's one of the very few avenues that fans have to get a sneak peek of what might be next. Players talk about their development over the course of the season and what they want to accomplish in the offseason. You learn about some thoughts in free agency. You get some hints at the overall locker room vibes. And these are all things that you don't get during the daily grind of the season, right? When a team or a star player skips the exit interviews, well, it does leave a vacuum. And the vacuum gets filled with speculation, rumors, and a lot of uncertainty. And for Chicago, well, that's exactly what's happening right now. So to recap, we've seen exit interviews happening in the WNBA. Those are optional. Some teams do them, some teams don't. The Chicago Sky did, but Angel Reese, Courtney Vandersloot, and Ariel Atkins are not doing them. And that, my friends, is the kind of storyline that keeps us talking through the offseason. So, what do you all think? Does skipping the exit interviews for teams like the New York Liberty, like the Dallas Wings, do you think that helps to feed more speculation? Does the fact that Angel, Sloot, and Ariel didn't participate in exit interviews, does that mean that there's trouble brewing in Chicago and that we will see big changes to specifically those three players next year with their engagement with this team? Or do you think this is just a choose privacy type of thing? Whatever your thoughts are, just put them in the comments. I would love to hear what you all think about exit interviews, okay? Exit interview. All right, so once again, guys, the New York Liberty, the Atlanta Dream, the Dallas Wings have skipped exit interviews. The Atlanta Dream are doing a media availability with the GM and head coach instead of exit interviews. But we have seen exit interviews come from Golden State, Seattle, Washington, LA, the Connecticut Sun, and the Chicago Sky. All right, now let's quickly see what you all have to say. And if y'all could, please make sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel out a whole lot. And I do want to say a huge thank you to everybody. We have hit 38,000 subscribers, guys. It's insane. I can't believe it. I thank you so much. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. It says the analytics tell me that about 60% of you all that watch are not subscribed to the channel. And so it really would help if you would subscribe. Double J says, I love exit interviews, but I respect the players either way. Ebony says, trouble has been brewing in Chicago all season. This is nothing new for us. We have been watching this organization crack and crumble all season. Yeah. Kay Jackson says, the Sky should have done all or nothing for exit interviews. Silence is loud, especially since we all knew that Courtney Vandersloot and Angel was not going to have their exit interviews the same day as everybody else. But on the exit interview sheet, Sloot was supposed to do her exit interviews that day with everybody else. I think she was supposed to be last, right before Jeff Pagliacca. But we then find out later in the day that actually Sloot will not be doing hers today. We will schedule that for a later time. We already knew going into the exit interviews for the Chicago Sky. We already knew about Ariel Atkins and Angel. We knew about that. The decision to either pull or maybe something happened and like she just couldn't make it anymore, I'm not sure. But Courtney Vandersloot was initially on the list for exit interviews that day, and it was later pulled. Why exactly? We never got a real answer as to why. Stern, thank you so much for the super chat, says, I don't think Jeff Pagliacca and Angel can coexist. At this point, yeah, you're probably right. And again, I think there would be a lot of clarity if we had a exit interview for Angel to really get her thoughts on it. But at the same time, players don't tell you exactly what they think often. They talk around answers, and then you just kind of got to figure out what they mean by how they said it. Chicago Cheetah says, Angel Reese doesn't trust the media or the Chicago Sky since the hit piece. I mean, I wouldn't blame her. To be honest with you, I wouldn't blame her. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't blame her not one bit if that's true. Yeah, if that's true, I wouldn't blame her because yeah, if you're that big of a person, I feel like it's hard to trust anybody, right? How do you know what you say and how you say it won't get misconstrued by the person who's like writing about it or by the people who are reading it? Like I think there's probably a lot of concerns that her and her team probably has, and hopefully after that interview, Angel's a whole lot more cautious about what she says and how she says it, or maybe she just puts it on unapologetically Angel. Now that season 2, I think, should be starting pretty soon for unapologetically Angel, and I just want to hear her from her own mouth on her own show address it. Angel, what do you think? What's going on? Do you and also her show is a great way to be a bully pulpit, to talk about, hey, I really didn't like how things happened in Chicago. Now, can Angel force a trade? No, she cannot. But she can use just the ability to kind of have a bully pulpit in a way, in terms of having your own show where you can literally say whatever you want, and then use that as an opportunity to get what she wants. If she does want to leave, or if she does want certain changes, she can make that happen, right? And so that's something that to me is very, very interesting. I'm very curious to see, to just see what comes about. I really am. I'm wishing for the absolute best, but I don't know, man. We'll ultimately see what happens. We'll ultimately see what happens, guys. And overall, guys, the Chicago Sky are just going to be trash for the next couple of years. Like, they're just. I thought this was going to be a year to positively get in a better direction, but nope. Not quite. Not good enough.